how Shankaracharya had strayed away from the direct meaning of the Vedanta Sutra has been very thoroughly analyzed by followers of two of his arch rivals, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Here, I'll bring up uh, some remarks by one of the followers of Madhvacharya, B.N.K. Sharma. Uh, he's talking about, this is his book, History of Dvaita School of Vedanta and its literature. And this is what he has to say, that Gaudapada, who was the grand spiritual master of Shankaracharya and who claims to be a direct disciple of Shukadeva Goswami, he had not made any use of the sutras of Badarayana, the Vedanta Sutra, or attempted to enlist their support to his side. Gaudapada has provided some writings, but he hasn't quoted from the Vedanta Sutras. The task of reading his fashionable philosophy of Mayavad into the Sutras, that means the idea of some or other superimposing Mayavad into the Vedanta Sutras of Badarayana Vyasadeva and giving it a locus classicus, which means that one makes the Vedanta Sutra his classical text, his book, as if it is his own book in them, was reserved for his gifted grand disciple Shankara, who in the 8th century, that he appeared in the 8th century is simply the opinion of the modern scholars, and this person is simply reflecting that. For his gifted grand disciple Shankara, who gave the first systematic and brilliant Mayavada commentaries on the Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi refers to the 10 Upanishads. Commonly, it refers to the 10 Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Vedanta Sutra. Yet, how difficult he himself found the task of making the sutras yield the monism of his conception is proved by the artificiality and parenthetical irrelevance of his comments in many places where he seeks to go against the spirit and letter of the sutras and their natural drift of arguments and dialectic, that he was fighting with all his might and ingenuity against a long line of realistic commentaries, is not the only fact that makes his commentary suspect. So you should be aware that Shankaracharya was more or less a new kid in an old block when it comes to dealing with the Vedanta Sutra. As Ramanujacharya pointed out very powerfully in his Sri Bhashya commentary on Vedanta Sutra, the Vedanta Sutra had previous commentators and they were Vaishnavas. They certainly accepted that the supreme absolute truth is Lord Narayan and we are his eternal servants, and that the ultimate goal is to attain his abode with our individuality retained. Now Shankaracharya was trying to go against this. In fact, it has been stated by followers of Nimbarka Acharya that Nimbarka came much before Shankaracharya, and Nimbarka's commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is quite very much there. And Nimbarka was certainly a Vaishnava. He was not at all espousing the concepts of Mayavad at all. And Nimbarka's followers claim that Shankaracharya was trying to attack Nimbarka's followers intellectually. It is more the disharmony of his metaphysical views and presuppositions with the thought of the sutras so far as they could be made out from their plan, spirit, and letter, and according to his own objective interpretations, undistorted by his parenthetical notes, innuendos, correctives, assertions, and remarks ex cathedra, such as idam tu iha vaktavyam, sutrani tu evam vyakheyani. The idea is that even though the sutra's meaning is quite clear, he says idam tu iha vaktavyam, but in this regard you should note this. Sutrani tu evam vyakheyani, but the sutra should be interpreted in this manner. You don't need to do these things. You can simply leave the sutras to speak for themselves. The Vedanta Sutra, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has pointed out, is a literature which does not require others' help. Sunlight is clear. You do not need a lamplight to help you see the sun better in a day when there is bright sunlight. The Vedanta Sutra is clear. So Shankaracharya's interpretations are certainly having no, uh, they're not providing us aid to understand the meaning of Vedanta Sutra. That is the point. Shankaracharya's commentary on the Vedanta Sutra have been very powerfully and thoroughly analyzed and dissected by Vyasatirtha in one of his writings called Tatparya Chandrika, uh, which have been summarized in English too. Uh, and apart from that, followers of Ramanujacharya also point out uh, how Shankaracharya's commentaries are have plenty of problems. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just, and by the time that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking all this to Shankaracharya, Shankaracharya's followers are quite aware of the attacks that have been placed on them since Ramanuja's time. Ramanujacharya appeared at least 3 or 4 centuries before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from that time, Mayavad is being beaten. Madhvacharya appeared about say 75 years or so after Ramanuja's disappearance, and his punches were quite strong, quite powerful. Uh, so the Shankara Sampradaya already got some kicks, and now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming and giving them real mercy, giving them some final good kicks. The word Brahman indicates the greatest of all. The word Brahman is coming from the expression Brih. Brih means great, to make great, to expand, to become big. Uh, and Brahman means that which is the greatest being. Brihad Vastu. This is the expression Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses. Um, this is the supreme entity, the greatest entity. So the word Brahman indicates the greatest of all, which is full with transcendental opulences superior to all. Brahman is ultimately the personality of Godhead, and he is covered by indirect interpretations and established as impersonal. So Brahman is ultimately the supreme personality of Godhead. Brihanto hi asmin guna. He who has he who has a great number of attractive qualities, or as Prabhupada used to say, the all attractive being. That is Brahman. So ultimately, Brahman means the all attractive personality of Godhead. Uh, he is covered by indirect interpretations, and that Brahman is being presented as if it is an impersonal entity by the foolish impersonalist scholars. Everything that is in the spiritual world is full of transcendental bliss, including the form, body, place, and paraphernalia of the Lord. All are eternally cognizant and blissful. So this is the reality. The reality is there is spiritual variety, and the Upanishads indicate that there is true spiritual variety beyond material existence. There is spiritual variety. The Supreme Being has a spiritual form, a spiritual body. He has a spiritual place, and he has spiritual paraphernalia. They are Satchit Ananda. Whereas the Shankaracharya followers, they imagine that there is some Brahman, which is a unitary plane of consciousness. But the Brahman imagined by Shankaracharya's followers does not exist at all. In fact, Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary on Laghu Bhagavatamrita, has stated that the Mayavadis uh, uh, imagined Brahman should not be equated with the Brahman presented as the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, is also referred to as Brahman. For instance, here is Bhagavad Gita 10.12. Arjuna is referring to Krishna as Param Brahma. He is telling that you are the supreme truth. You are the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. So sometimes Brahman refers to the supreme personality of Godhead. And specifically in the Vedanta Sutra and in many places in the Upanishads, Brahman refers to Paramatma. Uh, but sometimes Brahman refers to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. So he is uh, covered by the Mayavadis through indirect interpretations and established as impersonal. However, there is spiritual variety beyond material existence. It is not the fault of the Acharya Shankara that he has so interpreted the Vedanta. But if someone accepts it, then certainly he is doomed. How is it not Shankaracharya's fault? Because he is a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who ordered him to speak Mayavad in order to delude people who are averse to him. That is stated by Lord Chaitanya and recorded in Chaitanya Charitamrita. तार दोष नहीं तेहो आज्ञाकारी दास आरजे शुने तार होय सर्वनाश. Shankaracharya, who is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, is faultless because he is a servant carrying out the orders of the Lord. But those who follow his Mayavadi philosophy are doomed. They will lose their advancement in spiritual knowledge. The point to be noted is that Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is bringing out this idea that Shankaracharya, he is actually an incarnation of Lord Shiva. He is directly an incarnation of Lord Shiva. And we will see elsewhere that he had been ordered by Lord Vishnu to preach the Mayavad philosophy. That is brought out elsewhere. Swagamais kalpitais tvam janan mad vimukhan kuru. Through concocted writings, you please make the people averse to me. Make demoniac people averse to me. They're already having demoniac propensities. Make them further averse. So it is meant for people who have demoniac propensities and are seeking rationalization of their demoniac propensities. It is not meant for those who are trying to become subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who accepts the transcendental body of the Personality of Godhead as something mundane certainly commits the greatest blasphemy. It's a great blasphemy to consider the spiritual body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being in the mode of goodness, in the material mode of goodness. That is exactly what the Shankaracharya followers do by basically saying that the form and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useful imaginations. This is a conceptual approximation. Technically, what they say is difficult to understand for someone who is not well trained in Advaitavad, in Mayavad. But basically, this is what they're saying. It's like, suppose you're dreaming, and inside a dream, you're being chased by a tiger. The tiger is chasing you to kill you and eat you. Then, because of your terror, you're running away. And then, because you have so much of terror, so much of fear, your dream breaks, and you wake up into reality, and you see there is no tiger, but you're still sweating, and you're terrified. Now, that tiger was certainly a dream object, swapna vastu, and certainly it was non-existent. I mean, it is just a dream object. It's not true. It's certainly not true like an object in wakeful existence. And so, what is the status of that tiger? Was it useful? Yes, it was useful. Because of the tiger, you woke up to reality. Had that tiger not chased you, you would not have woken up into reality. So the Advaitavadis, they have this concept that we chant Hare Krishna, we worship Krishna, but Krishna, Hare Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan, all of this is useful imagination, just like a dream object, like a tiger in the dream. It will wake us up to the reality that you are Brahman. But this is a very, very great offense to say that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is material, is part of material existence in any manner, is the greatest blasphemy. So this is something that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out with great force to the Mayavadi sannyas.